happening now, Maggie?
Will be published by Simon & Schuster in a book series premiering in September of 2003. In the spring of 2004, an entire line of licensed products.
What it's like, they kept going, one more shot, and I was going, This is her Christmas dress, and this is her with her sack of smiles. Anyway, can you just hold her there? You hold that one, thank you. Anyway, Little Red was started in order to, all the proceeds would go to help a little boy, because the little boy was found in the Oklahoma City bombing all those 8.5 years ago, right, Peach? And so I invented Little Red to pay for PJ here. That's why it's so important he came today, because it's great. Because 8.5 years ago, PJ was carried out of the Oklahoma City bombing by a fireman, and he was carried in the fireman's arms, and Newsweek put him all over the world. And I wondered who was looking after him, so I flew to Oklahoma City and I found PJ and Delores, and I said, you know what, we'll invent the doll to pay for you. And here he is 8.5 years later, so we're really proud you've come, PJ. But what was so amazing was when that dreadful disaster happened and Little Red was sitting in Cantor Fitzgerald offices on September 11th. It was just extraordinary, and I'm so touched, Howard and Alison, you've come today, honestly, having lost so many families. But what happened was a fireman found Little Red in the rubble and carried Little Red out in his fireman's hat. And just as PJ was carried out in the Oklahoma City bombing, so Little Red was carried out of that dreadful disaster. So it sort of is an extraordinary tale today that suddenly here is this little girl designed on a tablecloth, but she stands up for the rights for children. She stands up to make sure that children in the world have a right to a healthy, happy life, to an education, to a way ahead.
The right product to go with that character.
This Little Red is extraordinary. It's not about just another children's story. It's not just about another doll that's going to make a difference. This is about a true Little Red that is saving children's lives.
I've always told stories to my children from a very early age, and Roni the pony, who is in the book, was always one of the little ponies that I made fly, and Gino the dog was a little dog I met in Italy, and Little Blue was the logo of the charity Children in Crisis. So I just really have always thought about writing another children's book coming on from Budgie, and it just seemed to me that maybe I should write about Little Red and the adventures of Little Red, helping children, really, because in every book there is something that Little Red has to face, a fear, or something good that she then makes new friends from, or it's everything that maybe there's a little underlying little story that children might like, might help children. And I suppose I've learnt that from working with my children. When they go through problems, or when they think that there's dragons under the bed, you know, it's much better to go and look with a broom under the bed to find the dragon than say to them, there is no dragon, don't be silly, because in their eyes, dragons do exist. A lot of people said, write the story of how Little Red survived the World Trade Center. I didn't think that would be right, because Little Red stands on her own as a survivor from the World Trade Center disaster, but I think children need to have make-believe, and I think children need to have magic, and I think that to tell the story of Little Red, how she survived the rubble, they'd go, well, you know, that's such a sad story, you know, so much sadness and grief, and I think little children need to be reminded that it's okay to be happy, and that Tinkerbell does exist, and that there is pixie dust. And so I think it's important. Mm-hmm. I'm very committed now. Weight Watchers has taught me well, you know. I still am with Weight Watchers, and I work very hard on nutrition. I think that I decided I never want to go back to being a fat person again, and I was, you know. I went up to 220 pounds, you know, and since then I've done Pilates and yoga, and I run, and I go on my bike, and I do everything. It's exercise, but I'm not obsessive about it because I find it very tiring and very difficult. But I do believe if you're going to have a good figure, you really have to work very hard at it. In my book, I'm not lucky. I do have to work hard and not to eat. I love eating.